Purpose Highway is a space for discussions that drive connections toward people's highest purpose to build a better self and a better world. Join me for Season 1, where I start to uncover stories of entrepreneurs and thinkers that are making an impact. I'm your host, Scott Mason, and enjoy today's episode. When you're racing down the Purpose Highway, we want to make sure you're healthy and happy every step of the way. That's why we're proud to partner with It's NOLA, 21st century plant-based healthy granola snack bites made with real ingredients and audacious flavor. It's NOLA crafts small batch hand-rolled granola balls that are vegan, gluten-free, and naturally low in sugar. Locally made in Brooklyn, It's NOLA's delightful bites come in 3 flavors: luscious cranberry coconut, sassy mango masala, and dark, decadent, chewy chocolate. It's NOLA is available to both individual customers and for wholesale accounts at itsnola.com. That's itsnola.com. Guests on this show are already enjoying this delicious snack. Check out It's NOLA's website for yourself and find out how good it is. Hello, everybody. It's Scott Mason revving up for another race down the Purpose Highway. And sitting next to me today in the front seat is Tony D'Urso. Tony is one of the top podcasters in the country. He's the #1 talk show on Voice America and is on a roll for 13 million downloads. Tony's shows are syndicated on Roku, Amazon Alexa, and 16 AM/FM US radio stations. Tony helps millions of entrepreneurs learn from the success of others. He teaches the Vision Map, the testament to his success, and he is the author of multiple books. Tony, welcome to the show.
Scott, thank you so much. It is quite an honor to be here on Scott Mason's Purpose Highway. Woohoo! I did it.
You did it.
I know how hard it is to get on a show, and I made it. Here I am. Everybody buckle in. This is so great. That's just a little bit Italian, but it happens.
You know what? We may have to get together one day and just have an energy fest and see who can amp it up the highest. I think you might be the first person to give me a little bit of a run for the money. Tony, let me talk about you a little. It
really is a great and honor. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. This is going to be a ball of an episode. Tony, let me talk about you a little bit more. You graduated with a 4.0 GPA from Laverne University and have had, to be really honest with you, a level of success that is frankly hard for most people to imagine. In fact, I would say it's likely that many of the people looking at who you are right now, what you've become, can even imagine that you had a day of struggle in your life. But in your pre-interview questionnaire, you explicitly stated that one thing you can truly speak to is overcoming obstacles. Talk to us a little bit about why that particular theme resonates with you.
Scott, I could do probably a series on that, overcoming obstacles. I'm an immigrant. Is that the right way? I'm an immigrant. Oh, I was born in Italy, Sicily, literally, and we went to Chicago when I was 3 years old, and where I promptly took a 2-year vacation. And then at the age of 5, I started helping my brothers and eventually got my own paper route job. For 10 years, I delivered papers. Talk about struggle. Talk about whatever. It's a one-income family. Just my dad worked. My mom stayed home, took care. There were 6 boys. She had her hands full.
Wow.
So here I am delivering papers, getting up at like the godly hour of like 4:30 in the morning in Chicago, folks, on Lakeshore Drive. I don't think there's a colder place on earth because that wind cuts through you. Now, I'm just a little boy, and that wind, especially during the winter and the cold season, I would be wearing two pairs. I learned, that wasn't at the first day, but after a while I learned 2 pairs of socks, 3 pairs of pants and shorts, 3 shirts and a sweater and a jacket, 2 pairs of gloves, not 1, but 2 earmuffs, things on over my ears, and the wind would cut through you. I would just freeze. And that is the cold wind of Chicago. It's like when, with the wind chill factor, it gets like 50 degrees below zero, 75 degrees below zero. You guys from Chicago, you know what I'm talking about. And yet I did it. And every week we just give a couple, whatever it was to pay, $1.22 or whatever I got from delivering papers. I would just give it to my mom every week. And this is the world I started in. This is the world I grew up in. And it was like, this is what you do. Yeah, I would have loved to sleep in, but I needed to work and I needed to help support the family in a way and do my part. And it was just, I don't know that I would say it was ingrained in me, but it was just part of how my being is developed, I guess. I don't know how else really to say it. And so I just did that and learned what it would take, because no matter what weather, hurricane weather, snowstorms, rain, winds, I'm talking about winds that would literally knock me down.
Wow.
Gusts of winds in Chicago. You guys from Chicago, you know what I'm talking about. Very, very strong winds sometimes would knock down a little boy. And yet I still did it. So I learned that I had to do it because nobody else is going to deliver the papers but me. So I had to learn every day for 10 years. That is what I had to do, regardless of anything, sick or not. It just didn't matter. The papers had to be delivered. And so that ingrained in me, Scott, the value of a dollar. What does it take to earn this dollar? I treat money, there's not a class on money, but I just treat it with respect, with love, this was something I earned. I worked really hard. I did all this for this money. Of course I would give it away to my mom, but it just instilled in me that sense of value and appreciation and respect. And I believe that's what carried me forward. When I do something, I've had hard knocks. I've had horrible things happen. I've had trouble. Oh my gosh. Don't scare me if I bring that all up again. But I've had some really bad times. But I always learned, just like in delivering those papers, you've got to do the job. You just can't go run, put your whole head in a hole in the sand and pretend it doesn't happen. It's still, the real world is still there no matter what happens otherwise. And that is what I learned. And that is the most important thing. And I teach today three principles to success. 1 is keep at it. 2 is keep at it. 3 is keep at it. Little Italian humor there, but it's true. You don't fail until you stop. Otherwise, you're just learning, you're experiencing, you're trying. So that really is, in a way, that what I've learned from the various adversity that I've had. And give you an example of a horrible example. One of the worst times of my life, I'm running a lead generation company that I started in 2007. And I do promotion, I do marketing, and I generate leads and all that. And it's something that I've learned in my 32 years in corporate America. I've learned advertising, promotion, marketing. I've learned and have performed tasks in all these areas. So here I am with my own company, which I ran for 7 years. And there were various federal protocols, rules, laws that changed how marketing would be preferred. Give you an example. One day I walk into my office on a Monday, and one of my clients that I'm doing $1 million a year in sales on. Now I have multiple clients. This is just one particular client, case in point, and they canceled. Why? What happened? Well, a new federal regulation came down, and the company realized, the attorneys realized, not the company, but the attorneys realized they can no longer receive marketing services or products the way that they were in the past, and they had to totally retool to comply with new federal protocol. Well, great. That just tanks my business. All my customers pretty much did the same. 4 times in 7 years. That happened 4 times in 7 years. And I was like, should I get a job? What should I do? And I'm like looking for something because I failed to give up. I refused to give up. I think I said it right. I failed to give up. I wouldn't give up. I was like, okay, let's find something I can control. Let's find something I can do. Let's find something that the rules don't affect as much. And I kept hearing this word called podcast. And Scott, when I found out, what is this podcast? The Italian, what is this podcast? What? It was like, oh, I can do that. I can talk. I'm Italian. I can talk. I can do this. So I jumped into podcasting, and as you may say, the rest is history. Had I shouldn't say many, had several major setbacks, but because I can control it more easily, I persevered through those. And yeah, I've got a pretty good show. Been the #1 show on Voice America for several years running. So yeah, so there's a little bit of, to answer your question of, you've got adversity. Well, what do? You push through, you've got to, it's that mentality. Once you can get that mindset in, you really can accomplish a lot.
There's a lot to unpack in what you said, and thank you so much for sharing so many rich stories. That cold in Chicago, I can just imagine. And I have to say, I went to college in Minnesota, but spent a semester in Chicago. You would think that Chicago was less extreme in terms of that cold and the brutality of the weather. No contest. No contest. You talk about when the regulatory changes that occurred affecting that prior business of yours rolled out and hit your clients. And suddenly, for all intents and purposes, you were without a business. On the one hand, I would imagine it would be maybe or maybe not easy for you to psychologically become the adult version of that little boy who was delivering those papers no matter what the weather was like. But let's face it, sometimes there are people who have faced obstacles before and say to themselves, I'm done dealing with this. And they're not able to go back into that place, pull themselves out, and move on. What differentiates you from someone who might be like that? And what can you say to someone who might be feeling like, I've worked so hard, I can't work anymore?
Well, that's a really great question, because I did and ran my own business for 7 years. And 4 major protocols or changes occurred in that period. Well, it's like water off a duck's back, business tanks, go back out, retool, relearn what I'm supposed to do now and repitch. And, the business would just go up and down like a yo-yo. And I got tired of it. And I realized that even if I retooled, because it's 4 times now in 7 years, even if I retooled and did what the feds wanted and everything and everybody's happy, now I've got to remarket myself and go out there and rebrand. And it was like, this is getting ridiculous. And that's why I look like, am I doing the right thing? Now I still have all the knowledge and experience of marketing and lead generation, how to drive visitors, and how to get eyeballs, as some people call it. I mean, I still know that, but I have to put food on the table, feed my family, pay bills, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Is this the right thing? So there can be a time, not that in giving up, but where you can step back, pull out, and take a look and go, is this the right thing? Now, this is where a mentor and a coach really comes in handy. Very, very important. And, I had a confidant and I went over what to do. And, I really looked at it and had to make some decisions, but I realized that the business pretty much just shut itself because of these new protocols. It was not like something I did or anybody did. It just closed. Yeah. And I just wanted something that I could control because I realized that I cannot control that much. So what can I control that I can still, deliver a good service and product? And that's where I believe my book, The Vision Map, came along, because I started writing a guide. Well, I read a book by Jordan Adler called Beach Money, which is an amazing book, chapters 2 or 3, just fast forward on his story. Jordan Adler at the time, and I could have the story wrong. It's been years since I wrote the book, or read the book. He had pretty much no job, no money, no house, no girlfriend. He was a loser. He was a failure. He was like, what am I going to do with my life? And he mentions how he got the idea, and I don't remember it offhand, but he went off to the park or something, sat down with a piece of paper and wrote what does he see himself doing? And I'm adding some of my own information in this, sort of like a movie. If you could make a movie of your life 3 years from now, what would it be? So you're in the future, you're looking in the future, and you turn around and you're looking back going, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. So he poured his heart out into this document and put together his vision of what he was accomplishing in this dream, this movie. Well, fast forward now from that, a couple years later, and Jordan Adler is moving. And as he's moving, Scott, he runs across that document that he had forgotten about for a long time. Mm-hmm. And he picked up that document and started reading it. And Jordan Adler sat down on the ground and started crying. Why did Jordan Adler cry? He cried because he was moving into his dream house. He had his dream girlfriend, and he at the time was making $100,000 a month. A month. He had everything he wanted, and he was overwhelmed with emotion and ecstatic. And I encourage everyone to get that book, Beach Money. And there's a couple more books. There's also an audio. And let me give a plug for authors. When you get when an author has a book, any book, and it's in an audio, to me, it is the most the most refreshing, the most amazing experience, because not only do you get the information from the book, but you get the inflections, you get the tones, and you get more information from the author, and it hits in your soul deeper. So I highly recommend audio versions. Just love them. It's more than just reading words. It's like you get into the story because he paints that picture. So now that's the vision. So, I've been to school, as you've mentioned. I've been to university and college and all that. And thank you for that. And I've learned many facets of starting a new business. And I put together and wrote something called The Vision Map. And it starts with the vision, and then your purpose, your long-term objective, and why it's not a goal, and how long should it be, and the master plan, your strategy, your tactical, your 30, 60, 90 days to income, your daily things to do. I worked the whole thing out like an inverted pyramid.
Right.
And so I started, okay, here's what I really want to do in my future movie. And I set out to go accomplish that, Scott. And I started podcasting. And in just a couple of years, I created a very sustainable business that I control. Now, it was a little difficult with the COVID. Yeah. Because of the income machine connected to the podcasting, but I weathered that storm rather easily. And there were some other knocks and things like that. But hey, I control it because I can control me. So that's what I've learned, and that's how I went about and created something that I feel is stronger, more protocol or change or law resistant. It even weathered the storm with COVID. When you do your vision map out there in the audience, when you put this together, and it takes a couple of weeks, it's not just in one day, there's only like 10, 11 words in it, but you got to really understand those words. If, for an example, I used to travel. One of my hobbies before cell phones, or else I'd have 50 billion pictures. I used to travel the world, and in addition to having a good meal, My thing was, who's got the best chocolate souffle? I know it sounds interesting. And we would go restaurant to restaurant, and I would order, always have room for chocolate souffle. And I'd say, this is good, or the other was better, or this was this. You know, I'm not a foodie, so I'm not going to even bother doing the Guy Fieri, that's off the hook. I'm not going to go into that. Though I am Italian, I can do the hands, right? And so everybody in the audience, the word chocolate, sugar, salt, cream, eggs. These words, but that doesn't mean you can make a great dessert. But you know the words. So the same thing with my book, The Vision Map. You know the words, but I dive you deep into this, and then you can really put it together and shape your future wherever you are, whether you're going to go up a few notches or you're starting off. And this even works for careers. It works for relationships, whatever you put your mind to, because it starts with that vision. And this is what I give to the world, and try to inspire people to be successful in their own right.
It is a huge gift too. I found that the whole process of creating a vision, the whole process of imagining a future to be life-changing. And one of the things I love about what you're describing is a process that is demonstrably effective. And the fact that you're saying yours takes a few weeks, which to me is a good thing because it makes it substantive. One question that I have for you about it, though, it goes as to a constant theme that I have noticed throughout your professional history, particularly your books. The themes of a nexus between vision, purpose, and leadership. And it goes back to some of the early work that you did, and I'm sure you're still doing now, which relates to marketing, sales, and leadership. That leadership through line is there. One of the things that I was wondering, reading about your vision map process and your book, is to what extent you think that the leadership skill comes first and then the vision is developed, or the vision comes first and the leadership emerges out of that.
Oh, that's a simple answer. It's the chicken and the egg story. And everybody should know by now, the chicken came first. That's just a no-brainer. I'm just being silly. That's my Italian. When you're starting, now that I have your attention, when you're starting off, you're starting off at blank. So the first thing you've got to do is put together, who am I? Where am I going? How am I going to get there? And start answering these questions. And in that process, you start developing your persona, who you are business-wise, where you're going. And in that ongoing process, you're picking up help, you're picking up people. And there is near the end of the vision map, I talk about the importance of letting those that do work with you, whether it's an employee, a sub, a vendor, you're hiring a company, it's so important to let them know where your company is going. Let them know your vision, your purpose, and your objectives. It is so important because you get them on the bandwagon. You get them helping your company. Once they understand where you're going, what your goal is, what your vision, it's not just, oh, you're a paycheck, you're a job. It brings that closer, and it begs and brings more cooperation. And in that process happens to be leadership.
That may be the best answer to that question I've ever heard. Congratulations on that. Let me ask you another one.
Thank you.
Talking about this nexus between leadership and vision, and then talking about the process of creating a vision that then manifests as your life. To what extent do you feel that once we identify that vision, it creates us, as opposed to the original process where we create the vision? In other words, do you think that we change due to the vision that we've created as we move forward into it?
When you ask that question, and it gives me the analogy of a black and white photograph. And I would hazard to guess that a lot of people that, their life, where they're going, what's happening with them is a black and white photograph, perhaps, or faded. You know what I'm talking about, a sepia, two tones, just simple, go back 100 years and look in the newspapers and just, you're just going to see black and white photographs. Well, not fast forward, but to juxtaposition it, a 3D immersive, high color, high def movie with the whole thing going. And that's the difference. When you start working out your vision, when you start getting it, it's not just a simple two-dimensional, one color monotone. Oh yeah, I'm going to, I know so many people. I've met so many people that say, oh, when I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to open up a garage and I'm going to build sports cars and I'm going to go do this. And it's just, and then next, a couple of weeks later, oh, I'm going to go do this and I'm going to open up a company. And it just changes and changes and changes. And I think of that monochromatic, one color, which we call black and white, but monotone image, there's no substance. It's two dimension, as opposed to you're in there working that vision. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. This is what you see in your future. You're in charge of the movie. You're in charge of the dream. You just dreamed what you saw yourself doing 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And let me tell you, when I did this, I went from, I'm going to podcast and talk to a lot of people, to I've got this show and it's millions of people and I'm writing books and giving lectures and giving talks, and it fills the whole thing out. It adds so much more when you really work out that vision. It's beyond a night and day experience. And you then realize and fill out more of what you need to do. I hope I've kind of painted that picture well of that's what happens when you really work it out.
Very, very vivid. Love it. You also talk about the connection between purpose specifically and vision. One thing that some folks watching or listening to this may be asking themselves is, well, where do I find that sense of purpose that's right for me, that can then connect and help complete that vision, give that vision meaning? What would you say to folks like that who have that question?
I explained that in my book, The Vision Map, which everyone can get. If you go to TonyDurso.com/books, you can get the book and read it. And the purpose is who you're being. Now, little slight segue. There's a school of thought, a big school of thought in this world, which I somehow seem to become there's a word for it, and I'm trying to think of what that word is. It's not the pallbearer, but I want to kind of quench that and remove that idea a little bit, and it's just, which is that there's this school, and it's huge, that you should not do what you like to do. Mm-hmm. You should not do anything that you really enjoy. You should only make money, and you should get in as much debt as possible. Mm-hmm. And that's where happiness is. I'm not even joking. It's a huge school. And that school, that world of people laugh and make fun of people that, oh, I love doing this and I'm enjoying this. And maybe it's the Italian thing, because I'm very happy. I am very happy. If you ask me, Tony, how's it going today? And which you didn't, I'd say, Scott, today's the best day of my life. And you'd say, what? And it's true, because I say it all the time. I go, well, here's why. My refrigerator's full of food. Yeah. My vehicles are all gassed up. And my wife is happy. This is great. Which we've been married almost 30 years.
Oh, congratulations on that.
And to me, and to me, that's That's life. Maybe it's because I'm Italian, and I'm also on record saying it a zillion times. I am not interested in being a billionaire. If it comes, it comes, but it's not a goal. It's not where I'm going, and I'm not interested. Do you want to know why in the audience? Do you want to know why?
We better hear why.
Because, Scott, I can't eat that much food.
Yeah, but you could always just turn some of it over to me. I mean, I can always take an extra plate.
Sure. Well, we are feeding people. We are feeding people in poverty areas. And so far, we have passed out literally 52,500 meals, not counting a major event I did in my city to feed. I didn't call them homeless. I call them my neighbors. I did a huge feeding of my neighbors, which made the press and the news. But aside from that, yeah, I help feed others. And so this is just what I think is very important to me. But anyways, back to that point on the purpose and finding the purpose. The way I look at it is the vision. This is what you're accomplishing. This is what I'm doing. I'm doing this. I'm giving lectures. I'm talking to millions of people. I'm doing this. This is your vision because this is your dream. What do you see yourself doing 3 years from now? Then right below that, Scott, is the purpose. Purpose is why are you doing it? So this is where your passion, your love, what gets you up in the morning? Will you get up every day at 5 o'clock in the morning because you like this, whether you get paid or not? That's who you're being. I want to educate people. I want to help people. I want to curate because frankly, Scott, every single person listening to this in the audience, you cannot literally read everybody's book, listen to everybody's lecture, listen to everybody's podcast, take everybody's classes and so forth. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's just not possible. There's just so much information out there. So I try to curate, and I do not try, but I curate some of the most successful people in their category and industry, whom I call elite entrepreneurs. And I bring them in an hour session of interviewing them, how they got started, what adversities, what lessons we've learned. Very informational. Is that the right word? Yeah, informational, very impactful and helpful. And people can listen to it while they're jogging, driving, going wherever they're going, housework or whatever. Or watching it on Rumble or YouTube.
Right.
And it really, really helps educate them. And that's just my purpose has grown, and it's like grown on fire, and I just love doing it. And the more I love it, the more I feel I'm on my purpose. And it's who I'm being. I am being this educator, this connector, this facilitator. So that's vision, what you're doing, and then which is fueled by your purpose. Who are you? What's your being? What is your love? What is your passion? Separate from, I got to do this and deliver papers, for example, to go to work, or I got to cook, or I got to do this. This is what you have to do for work. I get that. But open up and explore your purpose and find a way to hack that. In other words, to do that and make that and do that while you're doing everything else. You may just surprise yourself that you will earn income and doing what you love. I mean, it's just really great. It takes work. It's not, those words I gave are the guidelines. There's more to it if you read the vision map, but hopefully that kind of answered your question on the purpose and so forth.
It does. I have to go back to something you said at the beginning of the answer because it really resonates with me. That school of thought. You cannot be doing something that makes you happy. You, in order to make money, you need to be out there in some way or another, gathering this huge amount of debt and then plugging away at something that you may feel no connection to in order to really be successful in this world. The reason why it resonated with me is that for many years, the overwhelming majority of my career, I lived in that world. I was surrounded by everyone who felt that way. And in fact, it never even occurred to me that there could be a way out. It never even occurred to me that people like you might exist. Do you ever encounter people who might have been just like me back then? And not even aware of the full scope of their potential in terms of happiness, fulfillment, or even the ability to make money? If so, do you say anything to them? What do you say to them?
Well, that is the most wonderful question ever, because when I talk about that, first of all, on my shows, it's all about my guest. I talk a little bit, I'll comment a little bit, but it's really all about my guest. When I do speak about it, when I'm being interviewed like on this, it doesn't seem to have the impact that it's having with you and your audience right now. I'm not sure. It's like, oh yeah, okay, next question. It's maybe some guests, maybe some hosts are, you can zone into what the guest says, or you can just go, okay, next, I got another question. Next, I got another question. But it's never really hit home to anyone. You're the first person that's really, I believe, really, really gets what I'm trying to say and where I'm trying to help take people and help educate people. And I'm not very strong. I'm not overbearing saying, you've got to do it my way. I'm just saying, you really can accomplish your purpose, your vision, and it's not silly. But the other school of thought, which is huge, has made it seem bad and silly. And I remember my word. I'm the vanguard now for you can do what you really love to do and be successful and be very, very happy. And isn't that what this is all about? Okay, you got $56 trillion billion. Now what? I mean, the very wealthy, I read here and there, they're just not happy.
Yeah.
They're just not happy.
Yeah.
And I interviewed a guest, Eric Lochtefeld, who's got hundreds of millions of dollars. And he made it very clear in that interview on my show earlier this year. He said, when you get up to the level of being a billionaire, he goes, you become a monster. And he says it himself. I'm not saying it. He said it. And he explains why the person becomes a monster. And it's just, he goes, I don't want anything to do with that. He goes, I stopped where I'm at. He goes, he's got hundreds of millions of dollars. He has the lifestyle he wants. He does whatever he wants. Hey guys, millions of dollars are fine. But he realized where he was going, and he changed his life to now he's happy, he's fulfilling, he's helping others, he's teaching other people how to do good business. And is really a great moral to that story. And that's cool.
Yeah. It's actually something that I suspect will resonate with a lot of the folks that are listening to this or watching it. You can aspire to and dream about what the media or that person's PR machine shows you that their life might be, but to imagine that beyond that or behind the curtain that they're presenting might be someone that is living the life of a monster, as your guest said, puts a whole different pall on the conversation. But it also opens up possibilities. And one of the things that I'm constantly hearing as I'm listening to you today is about the opening the doorways to possibility.
When you go that route, now I've interviewed over 500 very successful people whom I call elite entrepreneurs, millionaires, billionaires, and so forth. And my point of view is when there's a point where a person gets separated from friends, from family, from society, and becomes you just want more power, more money, more whatever. And there's a separation. And me, fortunately, because of my roots, I don't want that separation. I love people. I love to help people. I love to be with people. I enjoy people. I enjoy a good conversation. And to me, that's life. And so I think that's part of it. And it may not really answer your question exactly, but I wanted to mention that it's that separation that's just, it's not healthy. It's just not healthy, I think. So, you may have to rephrase that question. I'm not sure if I answered the whole thing, but I did want to make that distinction for you.
I actually loved it. It took the question to another level. And that's the beauty to me of building a connection with another human being. That conversation can go in all sorts of places, and people like you can illuminate the conversation in the minds of those listening in ways that they may never have imagined. One other thing, speaking of illumination, that I would love to hear your thoughts on, again, having come from large organizational life for many years, there was a fixation, I would say, some might disagree, but I would say, on mission as the central theme for how the employee, using a word that you just were referencing a lot, connected to the work that they were doing and connected to the others within that organization. You, interestingly, as you talk about vision and building a business or building a life plan for someone, quite conspicuously don't use that word. Or is that conspicuousness just a product of my imagination?
You're saying the use of the word connected?
Oh, no, sorry, mission.
Mission. Well, I do not use the word mission, though I do say the word mission and mission statement in the vision map. And I believe, and not to offend anyone, there's a whole school out there of you've got to have a mission statement. Yeah. You've got to have a mission statement. You want a company? Create a mission statement. Let's have a mission statement. Yeah. And I have to tell you, frankly, there's a zillion companies out of business that have a mission statement, or should I say, had a mission statement. Again, that mission statement is very much like that monochromatic image that I talked about earlier. It's a bit shallow, and I'm not trying to insult anyone. There are good mission statements that extend the boundaries, but many that I've seen are just kind of shallow, like two-dimensional, like, yeah, we're going to create great software and help lots of people in our societies, right. So buy from us or whatever. It's mouthing the words, but there's nothing behind it. It's like, eating cardboard for breakfast. It doesn't. When you do your vision and work out your purpose and your long-term objective and your master plan and your strategy, and you work these out, you build this, as I mentioned earlier, this huge immersive 3D movie with, stereo sound and quad sound and IMAX and view. And it becomes your life. It's just this whole different thing. So I'm not against it, but I don't teach it. I don't practice it. And I don't have a mission statement. I have a vision map that takes me to my vision where I go. And I accomplished my vision in just a few short years. It was that fast. And today that's like old. It's like, years ago, Scott, do you know that corporations had 10, 15, I'm not even joking, don't laugh, 20-year strategies. 20 years. We're going to do this in 20 years, and we're going to do this, and we're going to, they had it. They did it. They had meetings. They spent money. They paid people to help them work out these 20-year strategies. Well, my vision map, you can accomplish and be self-sustaining in years, and that's old now. Now it's in days, weeks. With the technology we have, there's millionaires being made. Boom, 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 boom. So fast, so easy, so quick. I know a company produces a great service. I was with them when they started 9 months ago, 10 months ago, selling a little application for $9. Guy's a millionaire.
Wow.
Guy's a millionaire.
Wow.
Just that fast, because it's a great little application. And it's for podcasters, and it's just that fast. And so it can happen very quick if you get the right idea. But again, don't go for the money. That's I think the problem, because you when you leave this world, you don't take the money with you. And if you figure out how to do it, let me know, because you can't even take a solid golden needle. I can't. You just can't. But you can take your fun with you, your purpose, your drive that you've helped people. You could take your character, you can take your integrity, and have fun at it. So maybe it's my Italian, maybe it's more, maybe it's beyond, but that's just kind of like how I look at it.
And what is the most fun thing in the world for you outside of perhaps traveling around and eating chocolate?
Well, I don't travel anymore, and I don't know when that's going to happen, but it was a good period of my life. Toward the world, I've seen pretty much most of what I wanted to see, so I've seen enough. what I really, really, really enjoy, my passion is connecting people with stars in the industry that I call elite entrepreneurs, very, very successful people, and helping them with their business. And I like to help people with their business through my vision map. And I've I've mentored people, I've trained people, I've consulted, and I've done that. And it's very, very rewarding. You know, some of my students have gone on to become superstars, and it's just really nice to see. That's rewarding. You can't eat it, but that you can take with you wherever you go. It's like, I help these people do so well. And, you know, there's people that might be going, la, 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 I don't want to hear it. I just want money. And I understand. But when you get to that level where, you know, you're debt free, you have all the money you want, all the money you can make, all the money you can earn, you wind up moving into another facet where what's rewarding now? Yeah. What is rewarding? Yeah. I can go have delicious coffee and a meal anytime I want. Yeah. What is my reward? What's my satisfaction? Yeah. It's doing this, talking to people, helping people, inspiring people, getting people to also find their vision, find their passion.
And I've got to say, when you were talking about the visions that people can create through your process, you were describing it in contrast to that black and white photo in ways that were so cinematic. And I could almost imagine the world that these visions create, which takes me to the next thing I want to make sure that we talk about, which is worlds that you have created in your fantasy books. How did writing fantasy books connect to your overall vision, Tony?
I will tell you. And just a really quick aside, with full respect, this world as you know it, this universe, this everything, everything was created by God, and it started with a vision. Just think about that.
Yeah.
It started with a vision. I mean, it may have started with more, but it started with God decided to create a world.
And I have to interject.
And he had, okay.
No, please.
And he created other beings to help him create the world. I mean, it started with a vision. I really think that I'm onto something here.
And I have to interject there. That's almost a human universal too. No matter what faith tradition you have, or no matter when or where you were born in the history of humanity, this idea of a higher power or higher powers having that sort of vision does seem to be something that humans intuit. Love it.
You want a Ferrari? You want a Ferrari? Started with the vision. You want a Mercedes Benz? Started with that vehicle started with a vision. Mm-hmm. You want a great race car? That vehicle, Porsche, that started with a vision. Mm-hmm. What do you want? You want this, you want a phone? It started with a vision. Mm-hmm. You want a good book? Which is kind of answers that question. It started with the vision. It started with, I want to create something. The book just didn't materialize. Mm-hmm. It started with this vision, and then the book was created. I wrote this book with an author, SKR, who years ago called me and said, "Hey, Tony, I've got this great idea. I've got this heroine character. Can you help me develop?" And I thought, great. So, I am a writer, and I'm known for nonfiction, and I like to also be known for fiction, like an actor who's known for many, many different types of genres. And so the character, we started developing the character and the qualities of the character and the people and the time period. We didn't focus on today's time. We didn't have anybody else's book in mind. We just started with a character, and we developed a character and personalities, and we came up with, this is a great tale that started writing itself because we developed, oh, sorry, microphone. I apologize to my microphone. I'm sorry to hit you. You didn't deserve that. we, we worked out all these characters and who everybody is. And so we realized this would be a good place to put in Atlantis, because Atlantis has been fictionalized to be, possibly in the middle of the earth, which is, used to be on old maps. Today it's not there anymore. So, it kind of fits that it sank, though it's not, it turns out that it's not really there, but that's a different part. This is a story about fictionalizing what happened in that region, which we call Atlantis. And these are the Iman of Atlantis. They're beings with really very amazing abilities and powers, and they can heal and they can do things that are beyond or a cut above what you hear of superheroes and superpowers do. And they're really, really powerful beings. They used to be fierce warriors, and they were killing each other off, forcing, and God intervened, because otherwise his entire creation was going to kill itself off. So those that didn't want to listen to God carried on with their ways and killed each other off. Those that did listen to God put down their weapons and were given abilities of healing and helping. And they went and became eventually the mythical, magical, legendary Iman of Iman Hera. And the world above never heard of them. They were a myth, a legend. They just never interfaced with the regular world, the surface world, until the crown prince of Karen received a mortal wound from a hunting wound, and it brought the Iman up to tend to him. And once they revealed themselves that they were there, this is where the book starts. Once they revealed themselves, everything changes. And the title of this is Bitten. And I got to tell everybody, there's no vampires in the book. Never thought of vampires. And there's no zombies.
Oh, darn.
Maybe I have to change the title, but it has nothing to do with it. When the ruling classes of the world realize that Iman exist and the powers they have, and that they can turn things to gold, and that they could help them rule, that lust, that power, that desire for gold, for money, for wealth, it infused them, it incensed them to go and chase and capture the Iman to use for their purposes. And that's where the word bitten comes from, because it's a really very appropriate word. They were bitten, they were smitten, but there's no romance in this. They were overcome with, I want that Iman. And that's where the story starts. Now, it has nothing to do with Tolkien. It is not a Tolkienish. There's no dragons. There is a very big person who's a woodcutter. We call him an ogre because he looks like an ogre. But the Tolucan Times, which is the newspaper for Burbank, California, one of the entertainment capitals of the world, they reviewed it and they said it's a unique world in the tradition of Tolkien. What an honor. They said that. We didn't expect that one. That came to us sideways. So when asked about did we have Tolkien in mind? No. So we say, well, because it's now been listed as in the unique world in the tradition of Tolkien, we're saying, well, it happened after the elves left. It happened later on when men were there. So, and so we kind of put it in the time perspective against that story. But it's a great story. We've got it's a series, 6 or 7 books, inked out, and we're just fine tuning them. So we're going to start releasing more books. The next book is called Ruthless. That almost should have been this one, but this one had to set the stage. Bitten, then there's Ruthless, then there's Pursuit, and it's quite a chase. And then the abilities of the Iman are really revealed. And I tell you, a couple Iman, this world would be a different place with them.
Wow. I have to ask, when you were talking about why you named it Bitten, is there a deeper message that you're trying to send out through this book? Because when you're talking a little bit about the background here, lusting for the powers that the Iman have, it almost makes me suspect that there may be a level of metaphor there. Am I reading a lot into this, or was that in the background?
Well, in a way, it is instructional, it is informative, but it has nothing to do with current times, by the way. Just set that off. When you read about Queen Tara, she is probably the most evil person you can ever imagine, but she has no resemblance to anybody in the world, living or not living. And you would think she's the most evil person ever. And then when you run into Prince Corin, you're going to have a hard time figuring out who is more evil,
Whoa.
who is more vicious, and so forth. It's strong.
Wow.
But it's PG rated. There's no swearing. There's nothing. It's not. I mean, kids of any age can read it. And the story started writing itself is the best way I can say it. Once we developed, and this is really important for you authors of fiction, develop the persona for each character. We have an emotional, how these people deal with things. We have it worked out for everyone. Who are these people? We gave them characters. We gave them integrity. We gave them scruples or not, or morals or not, and what level they'll do things. Like one of the key people in the book, Bomo, he's a woodcutter. He's huge. He is strong. He looks like an ogre. And when he gets mad, he can take on a small army.
Wow.
He's like a force to reckon with. And his whole world is gold. He'll do anything for gold. Gold is it. He'll kill. He'll escape from a prison. He'll bust down the prison doors. He'll do anything. When he gets into a rage, he's unstoppable. And so it all kind of just started writing itself, and we worked and developed the story. And we realized in that, probably because of who we are, that we like to teach, we like to instruct. So you can learn from the experience of the others, though we're not saying learn this lesson to anybody. It's not like that. It is a complete fiction story.
Right. That is so exciting. Do you have anything else in your vision for your future? And yes, please do put that up again. And we're going to make sure that information about that is included in the show notes as well. Thank you so much. People are going to want to read this. So please do let us see.
You can get it on Amazon, and you can also go to TonyDurso.com/books, and you can see that there. And I have a paperback edition, to answer your other question, a paperback edition planned for the Vision Map. Right now it's an ebook, but a paperback edition is coming out. And then after that, another book, which is How to Deal with Bullies. And it's called Rise Above Fear, an old school common sense approach, how to deal with bullies of all ages at school, in the workplace, because I've worked in corporate for long enough to know what bullies are like. And I've had to rewrite a lot of the book, because I tell my own stories at the beginning of each chapter. And when I had an independent person read the book, they were concerned that people would try to do what I did and get in trouble. And so I had to take out half of the book, because most of the book is my stories. I mean, here I am. I'm literally walking right to a group of Hell's Angel people, making them move out of the way because I'm on the sidewalk, and there's literally no other place to walk. There's like 50,000, I'm exaggerating. There's a lot of motorcycles, and where can I walk? So the only way to go is to walk through them. And I just walked through them. I didn't say, I just walked, and they all just magically parted from me because I wasn't afraid of them. And it doesn't, so I did things like, I did things like that. And we don't want people to take what I wrote in the book and try to imitate my stories. So I had to take all my stories out. Oh, amazing stories. Just amazing stories, but I wouldn't say bravery, but just a no-nonsense approach to a bully or something that could be, formidable. I mean, the Hells Angels guys, they could have just jumped on me and killed me, but why? Yeah. I didn't do anything to them. I had to pass through. They literally just parted and stepped aside, and I didn't say a word. They just walked by. And I shouldn't even say that, but there's an intention, there's an understanding when, I'm not afraid of that. Yeah, they could hurt me. But why? I didn't do anything to them. I have to go, So it's that sort of a understanding. And I'm not going to say any more stories because I don't want anyone to try it and get hurt and then blame me. And that was the whole thing. So I had to retake it out. So it's going to come out in a smaller edition, but it's going to cover, how to deal with bullies. And not that the Hells Angels guys were bullying me. And I mean, no disrespect to them. They weren't bullies to me, but that view, that vision of them, that crowd can be a bullying factor to make someone afraid to go to the other side. And it didn't make me afraid. That's the point, is not to be afraid. I didn't hurt anybody. I had my vision. My objective was to go to the other side. And the only way was to go through them. And through them, I did.
I think that book is going to be amazing.
I hope that makes sense.
Having worked in...
So
go ahead.
I cover and talk about key components to bravery, to dealing with bullies, how to deal with people that, cajole you and make fun of you in school, in the workplace, and how to deal with that honestly, not this crazy, I don't mean crazy, but just really, from a two-dimensional idea, I'm being bullied, help me, to really taking care of it properly without fighting.
It sounds like an amazing book. And as someone who worked for large organizations, as we mentioned earlier, for many, many years, its subject really resonates with me. I've seen it. I've been a victim of it. I have seen others be a victim of it. Thank you so much for writing something like that. That's really powerful. Tony, after hearing everything that you've had to say, you've mentioned some places that people can find out more about you, but how can they connect with you? And are there other places that they should go if they need to get their Tony fix?
Well, the simplest thing, I am on just about every podcast player out there at least all the big ones that I know of. The simple is go to TonyDurso.com. There you'll see a link for my books. There you'll see a link for my podcasts, which is all my podcasts, even my prior show called Revenue Chat. All 500 plus episodes are there, and it's the only repository of everything there. You can see not all my books, because I've written books before with different publishers and different things, and I didn't understand the book world like I do now. So now all my new books are starting to go up on that site, and there's contact pages so anyone can contact me very easily. And of course, you can go to Amazon and find my books. You can go to Apple Podcasts and see you can see all my new shows for like the past, I want to say 2-3 years.
Amazing.
And I think that pretty much covers it. Did I cover that well?
Better than I could have, I'll tell you that. Sounds like a pro, which is exactly what you are. Tony, it has been great taking a ride with you today. Thank you so much for joining us. And for everyone tuning in, if you liked this episode, please be sure to subscribe and leave a review on Apple or comment on YouTube. Look up Tony. He is amazing. And I will see you next time for another trip down the Purpose Highway. When you're racing down the Purpose Highway, we want to make sure you're healthy and happy every step of the way. That's why we're proud to partner with It's NOLA, 21st century plant-based healthy granola snack bites made with real ingredients and audacious flavor. It's NOLA crafts small batch hand-rolled granola balls that are vegan, gluten-free, and naturally low in sugar. Locally made in Brooklyn, It's NOLA's delightful bites come in 3 flavors: luscious cranberry coconut, sassy mango masala, and dark, decadent, chewy chocolate. It's NOLA is available to both individual customers and for wholesale accounts at itsnola.com. That's ITSNOLA.com. Guests on this show are already enjoying this delicious snack. Check out It's NOLA's website for yourself and find out how good it is. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Join our community today at purposehighway.com and subscribe to get notified when new episodes go live. Scott Mason, checking out.